Hello everyone, and welcome to another game of Warships. And well, I want to apologize in advance, but I have absolutely no clue how to pronounce the nickname. Today we are watching Boubolinos in the Des Moines, a 10 US cruiser. He is on the map hotspot in a 3-point domination game mode. It's obviously a tier 10 battle, but with very few tier 10s around. And only 2 destroyers, no carriers. So quite a few cruisers and battleships. But this replay is as usual from wowreplays.com, and there will be a link in the video description. So here in the beginning of the game we see our Des Moines heading towards Alpha, supported by the platoon mate in a destroyer. So he knows he will get some spotting inside A, which is great. The Alpha point here is, well, it's risky going in there. You will probably see torpedoes from enemy destroyers. There is not a lot of room to maneuver, and those islands kind of prevent your retreat. You can go in there like in a position where this island still shields you and try to capture it. You also see often people here go along the zone wall, but if you go here on the outskirts, this island prevents you from actually helping somebody at A. So if you push rather here with a force, you just lose a lot of time where you aren't doing much. Now our Des Moines here is using radar in order to prevent this poor Benson from hiding in the smoke. Now the Benson is, well, he was in a bad spot. He relied on his smoke to keep him covered, but radar got him. Now the friendly gearing is starting to capture. And you know, there are only 2 destroyers around. The other destroyer I think is at Point Charlie, so friendly destroyer now has here complete reign. He can hopefully capture in peace and maybe even throw a few torpedoes towards the enemies. Now we see here the friendly battleships are in a decent position around here. I think they probably can support friendly ships towards A, and they are far enough back that they are not in immediate danger of getting torpedoed. Although with the destroyer now down, they probably could take even an aggressive approach and go here towards directly towards A. Now the friendly team has lost the Point Charlie, but they have a lot of ships here, although I think the majority of them is going towards Bravo. And, well, our friendly Des Moines here is now holding position. He's just scored a few very nice citadels, showing that, well, cruisers can dish out quite a bit of damage against other cruisers. Also, the armor piercing in the Des Moines is often quite effective against battleships, depending on the range and the angle. And he is not spotted here. He is using the smoke of the friendly destroyer as a cover, and he can't just here sit and blaze away with his guns. He's also in a position where he is somewhat safe from torpedoes. Now, as pointed out, the enemy destroyer is close to Point Charlie, so shouldn't be too many torpedoes, but there are some cruisers who have them. But the cruisers can't really get in here close enough. They are probably afraid of those battleships. Now this battleship here has decided to take a more forward approach, but he's a little bit too aggressive. There isn't enough support for that push, and once he pushes too far, those 2 battleships will have shots at him, so he should have held position basically at the same height as the Des Moines here. If he would have just stayed there and held his position, he would be in a great spot, because a lot of those ships couldn't shoot him, he would be safe from broadsides, and he could, well, take shots at some of those cruisers, so it's too aggressive from this Bismarck, unfortunately. I mean, the Des Moines could have supported him here, but all of those ships are not in any position to help, and even if the Des Moines would have pushed with him, then there would just be 2 ships dead. So while I admire his willingness to push, it was unfortunately not a great situation for it. He would have needed the support of those ships here in the north. Now those ships here in the north are in a rather awkward position right now, I think, because this island will block most of their shots, and since the enemies are not pushing here at the left side, they aren't really of much use here. They should have probably moved more either towards a spot here where they can more effectively help the Des Moines, or they should have just gone straight towards B and helped the other flank. I also guess the other flank could use some help. Now, it's not like they aren't needed here. The enemies still have a substantial force here at Alpha, but the enemies aren't really committing. And I mean, if the enemies would just all here storm Alpha right now, those ships are not in an ideal position to help. This battleship, it would seem, has decided to take a more aggressive approach, and maybe he wants to try a flanking maneuver. But if he goes here, he might have get one surprise salvo off at those ships, and then they'll just focus on him and his ship will sink. Unfortunately, the friendly destroyer here got taken out. That makes this position a lot weaker, because now the enemies do not have to be afraid of torpedoes. This game isn't going so well. Now, the Des Moines here is doing a great job. He is constantly firing, ramping up the damage, and punishing all those enemies that are just sailing there. But well, the Point Charlie is completely lost. Those 2 battleships who are trying to get Bravo, I'm not sure if they will manage that. And they might even be losing ground here at Alpha. His battleship will probably soon get focused down. And yep, they lost the battleship over there, which is not surprising, but very unfortunate. Now it looks like the enemies are trying to capture Alpha. And there is still the smoke screen there, so we don't know exactly who is inside. We know that there are quite a few ships there. Again, the enemy battleships could just sail straight into Alpha and basically take it. There aren't enough ships to stop them. And there is a New Orleans coming, who is leading the charge and unfortunately showing broadside to Des Moines. And the Des Moines armor piercing hurts quite a bit. So that was not the right way to take this point. Also, again, this ship didn't have any support. There were a lot of ships close enough who could have helped him, but he tried to take the point alone, and I guess I can understand his frustration if your team doesn't want to push, but that was just unfortunate. Now it looks like that there is a Bismarck coming around, and as the friendly battleship who tried flanking, this Bismarck will probably not have a lot of luck either. So the enemy ship is basically just sailing right here and probably hoping to get those people into a crossfire. But unless those ships push in the same time towards A, he is basically on his own. And so yeah, I think this enemy Bismarck is probably going down. Now, unfortunately, the friendly North Carolina chose a bad moment to go forward right now. He should have waited here and basically helped to intercept the Bismarck. There is an enemy Iowa, so anyone who drives too far into Point Alpha will be shot at by this Iowa. Now, if they just stayed behind here, they could have taken down the enemy Bismarck together, and the enemies would have absolutely no chance of supporting this Bismarck. But the friendly battleship pushed a little bit too far, and now he is probably getting shot from those enemies and the Bismarck. Also, the friendly cruiser here in the north is moving away. He is probably going to take Bravo. But also he could have stayed a little bit longer behind and helped out with this Bismarck, I guess. But if he manages to capture a point, that would also, I guess, help quite a bit. And you can see there is some decent damage with armor piercing against a German battleship in a cruiser. So that worked out pretty well. Unfortunately, the friendly battleship took also quite a beating. He was a little bit too far, and this island didn't provide cover any longer from those enemies. But also the way he is going towards Bravo, he had to show his broadside. And I mean, not really anymore, but by taking this turn, he had to show his broadside towards an enemy battleship, and that alone hurts quite a bit. Now we can see there is an enemy cruiser here coming around along the left side, and well, I guess this cruiser wants to flank, but flanking only works if this battleship pushes at the same time at approximately the same speed. Now our Des Moines here is aware that there is a cruiser coming. The cruiser is the easier target, and taking down an Iowa will take quite a bit of time. If he engages the Iowa, this cruiser will manage to get around and shoot him in the back, so he is reversing here. He wants to intercept that cruiser. And once that cruiser is dealt with, he can then take on the enemy battleship. Now, while he is trying to intercept that cruiser, that might mean they are losing their Point Alpha, especially if he's forced to go here on the outskirts along the island. But yes, it's worth it. Even if they lose Alpha, he has to intercept that cruiser before he can engage the Iowa if he wants a chance to survive. And unfortunately, they've just lost their battleship. The enemies also have taken Bravo by now, and it's 2 against 4. It's looking pretty grim. They have 2 cruisers, and the enemies still have a destroyer and a pretty healthy battleship that will not be easy to take down. And what's alive? There is an Ibuki alive. Now the Ibuki does have torpedoes, so the torpedoes could help against the battleship. I mean, cruisers can dish out quite a bit of damage over time. They can set that battleship on fire again and again, but they are also... well, a battleship is pretty dangerous and can delete a cruiser short order if the cruiser has no cover. Now, surprisingly enough, the enemy... well, there is the enemy cruiser. And I'm not exactly sure what this cruiser was trying. He should have gotten a lot further right now by this time. I'm guessing he tried to turn around maybe and then reached himself. I have no idea. He was in a bit of an awkward position. Or maybe he was just waiting for the Des Moines to come around. Anyway, he was showing his broadside and was an easy target. And as expected, they are losing Alpha. The Des Moines will not be fast enough to stop this from happening, I guess, so he has to retake it afterwards, probably. Good news is the friendly cruiser managed to capture Charlie, so at least they have that. But it's still looking rather grim. And, well, the Des Moines will have a hard time taking down that Iowa. Especially in a close quarter fight. Now he really needs to get some fire started on that Iowa if he wants to have a chance. There isn't really much cover, he is close enough for the secondaries to open up, and battleship guns are not very accurate, but at those ranges those battleship guns will hit and will hurt. The Iowa is burning, he just got rid of the fire though. So let's hope he can start some fires again. And there is the gearing joining into the fun. The Des Moines has activated radar in order to spot the gearing, but I think the gearing is retreating behind the island. The gearing is at so low health he can't risk getting hit. The Iowa is burning again. The Des Moines has switched to armor piercing, although the results are not very good. The Iowa is just too well angered. So he's switching back to high explosive. The enemy cruiser is also getting in the action, so it's a pretty bad spot. The Des Moines is engaging all 3 enemy ships at once, while the friendly cruiser is in no position to help. And now the battleship is hiding in the smoke as well. The Des Moines is detected probably by the cruiser, and that was that salvo got. Well, thankfully that Mogami was shooting high explosive, I guess. Now the Iowa has lost quite a bit of health, but the Des Moines is pretty low as well. But the Ibuki is in a position to help now. Unfortunately, the Des Moines is now behind this island. Oh, maybe he can... Mogami was coming this way, so maybe he can get some nice armor-piercing shells into that cruiser, and I guess this is his train of thought, because he has switched to armor-piercing. He is also almost finished with capping Alpha, and there it is. And there is the Mogami. Oh, unfortunately he had switched back to high explosive, so the first salvo will be high explosive, and those torpedoes are... they are close, but they didn't hit. Very nice dodge here. Now he is back to armor piercing, and the next salvo will... yeah, there is one citadel, and the Mogami should go down soon. Nicely done, there is the Kraken. Now there is still the destroyer and the Iowa. The destroyer should go down with one shell, but we can't see him yet. He has activated radar in order to, I guess, spot the destroyer if he comes too close. And this Iowa is burning nicely. Both cruisers are assisting against that Iowa. The Des Moines' health are getting really low. Also, there are only 30 seconds left. The enemy team has a point lead, and with a point lead they are going to win. He switched to armor piercing, he's got some nice hits, and there goes the Iowa. Now he can get rid of that fire, he can repair some hit points. Now they are in a point lead, and there are only a few seconds left. The enemy destroyer is at Charlie and was in no position to help his friends. So this is a win. Oh, what a battle. Now we are here with the results. Oh, Boubolinos managed to get 3,851 base experience, and they were certainly earned. Very well played by him. And what an amazing battle. He basically almost stayed the entire game. He was stuck at point alpha and defending it. He always kept his guns blazing. And he made some pretty good tactical decisions, and in the end he led his team to victory. He earned himself Confederate First Blood Dreadnought in a cruiser. Kraken and High Caliber, he did 210,000 points of damage, scored 6 kills, and yeah, that was amazing to watch. I hope you enjoyed it as well, and I'll see you guys next time.